Bright QT. Every student matters.
Hello everyone. Let's start our new topic here for the chapter number 1, that is Rise of Nationalism in Europe. So our next topic is Unification of Italy, and the timeline is 1859 to 1870. Now students, before this topic, we have learnt about the unification of Germany, and the time period was 1866 to 1871. It was in the year 1871 that finally the process of unification was completed of Germany. Okay? So now here, let us try to understand what was the situation in Italy and what were the factors that led to the unification of Italy. Now, like I told you students, all these topics are really important. Unification of Germany, unification of Italy, that led to or that showed the rise of nationalism eventually, right? So while we are talking about Italy, what do we observe here? We see that Italy was also divided into many kingdoms under different dukes. So the princes here, they were given this term, that is dukes. Okay? Now, the Italy that you find in today's world or in the map, you see that it was not there when we are talking about this period before 1870, before the unification of Italy took place. Okay? So Italy was dominated by big European powers such as Austria, Spain and France. Now let us have a look at this map here in order to understand how these different regions, they dominated Italy. So here you can see that this is the region of France, this is the region of Austrian Empire, right? So here we will find how these regions, they were dominating Italy. This is the region of Italy, okay, as you can see in the map here. Initially, Napoleon was seen as liberator by Italians, but later on, the repressive policies initiated by his armies made him a hated figure. Yes, now you have learnt about Napoleon a lot, okay. So Napoleon was the military dictator and the ruler of France, right? So Napoleon, at first, he was seen as the liberator, the modernizer, who was introducing modern reforms throughout France as well as different regions of Europe. So people saw him as a liberator there. But later on, the French armies, they were introducing policies that were not good for the people, and therefore now they were seen as a hated figure there. So eventually they started hating all the policies of Napoleon. So this was the condition prevailing in Italy and the other parts here. Okay. Now after the fall of Napoleon, what happened? Papal states was given to the Pope. King of Sardinia got back his kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia. Spanish kings recovered the kingdom of Naples and Sicily. Yes, now these are some important points that you have to keep in mind. That there were total of 7 states there in Italy, divided into 7 states or kingdoms or provinces. Now, one by one, let us try to understand the geographical condition here. So this is the region of Papal States. Now Papal States was given to whom? So it was given to Pope after the fall of Napoleon. Okay. So do you remember when this Battle of Waterloo took place? Because it was in this Battle of Waterloo that Napoleon was defeated. Yes, the Battle of Waterloo took place in the year 1815, right? Now the Papal States, as we saw, was given to the Pope. This was the central Italy here. King of Sardinia got back his kingdom of Piedmont and Sardinia. Now this Piedmont and Sardinia, as you can see, this is the kingdom of Sardinia, and here you can see this is the kingdom of Sardinia. All these regions, they were given to King of Sardinia. Piedmont and Sardinia, it was given to the King of Sardinia. And the King of Sardinia was the only Italian prince here. You have to keep that in mind. Now this was the only region that was under the Italian prince, and all the other regions, they were under the French Empire or the Austrian Habsburg or the Spanish Empire. Okay. For example, the Spanish kings, they recovered the kingdoms of Naples and Sicily. Now this is the kingdom of Sicily. This is Naples here. So all these regions, they were under Spanish king. Now why am I telling all these points here? Because you have to keep that in mind, as in how was Italy divided? Now who were ruling in these regions, so that we can understand how was it finally unified, right? So you have to keep in mind the geographical condition here, or the way in which Italy was configured. Okay. Now in Italy, the first freedom of movement was started by the Carbonari Society. Now here, this was a secret society mainly formed by the charcoal burners. One interesting fact here is that the term Carbonari, that is the Italian dialect or the Italian term for charcoal burners. Now the charcoal burners here in Italy, they were known as the Carbonari, and henceforth the name here, that is Carbonari Society. So Prince Metternich suppressed the first revolts that took place in Italy by the revolutionary group here, whose name was Carbonari Society. Okay. Apart from this, when we are talking about the unification of Italy, we have to keep in mind the three names. Yes, students. Now, before this, when we were learning about unification of Germany, in that we saw that the chief architect for the process of unification was Otto von Bismarck. But here, in Italian unification, three people, they played an important role in this unification process. Now, who were these people? The first name here is Count Camillo Cavour, as you can see the image as well. The second name here is Giuseppe Garibaldi, as you can see the image here. And the third name is Giuseppe Mazzini, as you can see the image here. The respective images of all three revolutionaries or the people who played an important role in this whole process of unification. Now, Cavour was known as the brain of the Italian unification. Garibaldi was known as the sword of the Italian unification, and Mazzini, he was known as the soul of Italian unification. Quite important, students. So you have to keep that in mind. Who was known as the soul of Italian unification, who was known as the brain, and who was known as the soul. Now, one by one, we will understand the contribution of all these three famous personalities and how they helped in the unification of Italy. Before that, let's have a few questions here that have been mentioned in your exercise section. So in very short answer questions, there is one question that says, who was considered by Italians as the brain? Now quite simple to answer, right? So since this question has been asked in very short answer questions, in one word or one sentence, you can answer this question. And the name here, as we read right now, it is Count Cavour, who was the Prime Minister. You will read that later. Now, he was the Prime Minister and he was considered as the brain for the unification of Italy. The next question again in this segment is, who started the first freedom movement in Italy? Now, yes, you should remember the name, that is Carbonari Society. And if I ask you, what do we understand by the term Carbonari? You can say that it means charcoal burners. Now, this was a society that was started by a secret society, in fact, that was started by the charcoal burners. Quite easy to remember. So, this is how you can answer this question. Thank you.